Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh, and in this week's episode of Wednesday Watchlist, I am just going to be going over a couple movies and shows that I have recently watched and am currently in the process of watching. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the movie Anora. I recently watched this. We're also going to be talking about Anatomy of a Fall, and then we're also going to be discussing Adolescence, and then I'm going to be talking about the newest season of Hacks Season 4, and then lastly, I'm going to be talking about a current show that I'm watching, this show being the new anime that is on Max called Lazarus. And then to wrap things up, I'm just going to be talking about some upcoming things that I want to go see. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into the first topic of today's video, which is my thoughts / review of the movie Anora. Okay, so starting off with Anora, firstly, for those of you who don't know what this movie is about, this movie is about a woman who works in a strip club, and she gets involved with, I guess you could say, one of her clients, and this client just so happens to be the son of a wealthy Russian family. And from there, the movie pretty much takes us on a wild roller coaster ride of a relationship, I guess you could say. It shows us how these two meet, how the relationship starts, and then things kind of escalate from there. Now, I'm not going to spoil this movie, so if you have not seen this movie, definitely go check it out. But again, I'm not going to spoil this movie, I'm just going to give my thoughts on this movie. After watching this movie, I definitely think that this movie is a good movie. I can see why it won Best Picture at the Oscars this year, and I definitely fully agree with that decision. I can also see why Mikey Madison won Best Actress for her role in this film. But one thing that I still, even after seeing the film, I don't fully agree with is that this film won Best Original Screenplay this year at the Oscars. I still think that award should have gone to another film, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who would disagree with me. But overall, I don't think that this is a bad film. I think it's a really good film, and I think that it is very well done. It's very well shot. The cinematography is very beautiful in this. Again, Mikey Madison does an excellent job in this movie, and so do all of the other actors in this film. It definitely is an interesting film, to say the least, and I definitely like how the film progresses, and I also like how it explores the relationship between Mikey's character and the person that she gets involved with in this movie. Now, without spoiling anything, I am going to be honest and say that I don't like the ending of this movie. I just don't like how things ended up between Mikey's character in the movie Anora and another character by the name of Igor. I just didn't like how, I guess you could say, things ended between them, or like towards the end of this movie. I just didn't like how things turned in that direction, so to speak. And I thought the placement and the pacing of these two and sort of the bond that they form was a little bit fast-paced. I think it was a little bit too fast for my liking. This movie, even though it's a comedy movie, I definitely did enjoy it, but I did not laugh as much as I thought I would with this movie. That may be because my sense of humor is broken, or it could just be like I just didn't find this movie that funny. Again, I get it's a comedy film and there are some funny scenes in it and some funny sequences, but overall I just didn't really laugh all that much. Again, it's a good film. I would say if I had to rate this movie, I would probably give it a B. I think that is pretty decent. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a good movie. I just didn't like the ending. Now, moving on to the next thing that I want to discuss in today's video, let's talk about Adolescence. Now, this is a Netflix show, and I'm kind of late to this. I believe this show came out almost a month ago now, so I am kind of late to this topic, but I finally got around to watching this show. It's 4, I'd say, hour and a half long episodes each, but I have finally watched this show. And for those of you who don't know what this show is about, this show is essentially about a boy who is coming of age, and during this very turbulent time in his life, he ends up murdering one of his female classmates. And this show focuses on what effects his actions have on not just him, but his family and also people that aren't even related to him. And I think this show is very well executed. I think it's very well done, and I think it has a very strong message. And again, I'm not going to spoil this, so if you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. I think this is definitely worth a watch. Before I dive into what I think the main message of this show is, I do want to say that I think the cinematography here is very well shot. But one thing that is very very unique about it is all the episodes are one takes. So as soon as we open, as soon as the episode starts, it's just one single long take till the very end. And that is a very unique thing that you oftentimes don't see, especially in shows, but especially from a Netflix show. I really like the pacing and how we move from scene to scene to scene in this show. I think it's very well shot and very well edited. So I do think that this film is very well done and it looks very good. This show is mainly focused around, I believe the boy's name is Jamie. He is played by Owen Cooper and he does an absolutely phenomenal job in this show, especially I believe it's episode 3, I believe, where the character of Jamie is having a one-on-one with a therapist. That whole episode is so well done. It's very well executed. The writing, the dialogue, it's an absolutely amazing performance, especially again from the actor who plays Jamie. His performance in that episode is just, oh my god, like it's so good. And he is a very young actor as well. I believe he's only 15. So the fact that he's able to deliver such a well executed performance is just so, like, it's amazing. Like, he is so talented. It is insane how talented this young actor is. And so I definitely would not be surprised if he got nominated for a couple awards, whether it be, big awards like Oscars or maybe even a BAFTA for his performance in this film, because it is truly amazing. Now, moving on to my, I guess, interpretation of this whole show. What I got from this show is that coming of age, especially in today's world with things like social media and people getting sucked into certain pipelines, it's very difficult right now, right? Like, we're in trying times, especially for younger individuals, because there are so many rabbit holes these individuals can go on, in most part due to things like the internet and social media. And so I feel like this show was a huge commentary on that and just the absolute dark paths that individuals can go on when they get sucked into certain things on the internet. So I think that this show, again, is very powerful and I think it's very impactful, and that is at least the main message I got that the show is trying to convey. Another part of the message that I thought the show was trying to convey was that even though, kids are going to bully each other, that's just kids being kids. I thought that it really spoke to how calling certain people, especially when they're younger, certain words or implying certain things about them can really have harmful and negative effects, even if it's done in a joking manner. Bullying plays a huge role in this film. And so again, I think the overall message here is very powerful and very impactful. And I think it's definitely an eye-opener, especially for people who are parents during this time in, I would say, society overall. And then another thing that I gathered from this film is just, I would say this shows commentary on what it's like to be a male growing up in today's society and how difficult that can be at times, especially with things like people getting called incels, which actually does happen in the show. It's one of the key parts of the show is one of the characters gets called an incel and he really takes that to heart. I would say that this show definitely strikes the right tone. I would say that this show, to me at least, just like conveyed just how difficult, again, it can be to be a male and be growing up in society in today's times, and also how difficult it can be for not just men but boys to express themselves and find ways to express themselves that aren't just outbursts, if that makes sense. Throughout this show, we see the main character have several, again, you could say outbursts. There's scenes where he's crying, there's scenes where he's angry, where he's having full-on fits. So for me, at least, what I gathered from this show is that it speaks to the fact that we as a society need to stop holding men to unrealistic standards and expectations, especially the expectations around how men are allowed to express their emotions and express their feelings, where things like saying, oh, real men don't cry and stuff like that, those are not things we should still be saying at all in today's world. To me, it conveyed the fact that it is challenging to be a man and be in today's society, especially because of just the amount of pressure that men can feel in today's world, again, to not convey certain emotions, again, those emotions being mainly things like sadness or grief or even heartbreak. I feel to me, this show really he was trying to convey that message that like we should not encourage or dissuade men or boys from truly expressing their emotions or expressing themselves, and we should really be open to listening to what they have to say and what they're feeling, and not just automatically ignore them or put down their feelings. I think that this show, again, I think it's a really powerful show. So as I am editing this, I realized that I didn't fully, I guess, convey my like interpretation of this show's messages. When I say that we as a society hold men to unrealistic expectations and standards, I don't mean that in like this new modern thing that we're seeing now with like people like Andrew Tate and all that. No, I mean it in the sense where if you've seen the show, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't seen the show, one of the key themes in the show is again bullying. The main character, Jamie, when he's discussing who bullied him, it was mainly the other dudes, right? Like he talked about how he was getting bullied not just by people of the opposite gender, not just by females, but also by other boys in his grade, and how that made him feel insecure. And that's what I mean by that, is that we as a society, not just females, but also males, we need to realize that what we say and how we treat especially men and how they treat other men can negatively harm and impact them, especially when they're younger. And that is going to conclude my thoughts on Adolescence. Now, the next thing I want to discuss is Anatomy of a Fall. I finally got around to watching this. I know I'm like super late to this. When this first came out, I didn't think I would be interested in it at all. The poster was kind of confusing to me, and then the premise I just didn't seem interested in when it first came out. But I have finally watched this film, and I have to say that it's good. Like, this film is super good. I would have to say that it makes sense to me now why this won Best Original Screenplay for 2023. I can fully understand that now, and I fully see why it won that. For those of you who don't know what this film is about, it is about a writer couple and their kid, and the husband ends up dying in this movie. He dies like pretty much early on in this film, and the film quickly goes from just sort of like a mystery thriller about like a couple to a thriller drama about a potential murder. It quickly turns into a question of, did the husband accidentally die? Was his death an accident? Or did he commit suicide? Or was it intentional? Did his wife end up killing him? And the path and the way that this film navigates all three of those questions is done brilliantly. It plays out over the course of like a full trial, and numerous things come out about the relationship during this trial, about, you know, the struggles, what made their relationship, what ended up almost essentially breaking their relationship. And so this film is very well done. I would say the film has really good pacing, although I would say it might be a little bit of a slow burn for certain people, just because the story does move from events in modern times to events in the past, like backstory, because it's trying to fill in content. I really do like the story. I like the plot. Everybody in this movie is doing a great job acting wise, and yeah, I would definitely have to say that I am super upset that I'm so late to this movie, but now that I've seen it, my eyes are open, and yeah, this is an absolutely great film. I believe it's on Hulu right now, so if you do want to go check this out, it is currently on Hulu, and again, that is Anatomy of a Fall. And then moving on to shows I'm currently watching. So I'm currently watching two shows, one of which is Hacks season 4. We have a new season of Hacks out. I did not think we were going to get another season of Hacks after season 3 just because of the way it ended. When I heard they were making a season 4, I was a little bit skeptical like where the show could go, but having watched, I believe there's 4 or 5 episodes out right now, they've definitely found a way to keep the show going, and they kept it going in a way that's not dry, right? Like, this doesn't just feel like another season just for the sake of another season. Like, it feels like they found more material to build on here, and it's done very well. For those of you who don't know what the show is about, it is about a comedian named Deborah Vance. She ends up hiring a writer. Her name is Ava, and it's about the journey and the dynamic between these two and how these two interact, and essentially these two kind of meeting each other and also like building off of each other, if that makes sense, where their dynamics are different. And it's also just a very good show. It's very funny. This is probably one of the funniest HBO shows currently out right now. And the new season doesn't skip out on any of the jokes. The jokes are delivered well. All the jokes are funny here. And again, I'm really glad that they found a way to continue the show in a way that doesn't feel like they're just milking a dead cow, so to speak. This show is truly a testament to the fact that it takes more than one season to truly build out and flesh out characters and character dynamics and character arcs as well. I would say that this show is truly a modern day testament to that fact. Like, you can't cram everything into one season, at least in 30-minute episodes, and fully develop a character, right? Like, you have to span it out over multiple episodes and even multiple seasons in some cases, like this show, in order to fully flesh out these characters. And I think that this show is a true testament to that, and I think that this show is a very good example of that. I'm really looking forward to how this season is going to conclude. Now, we are only about 45 episodes into season 4. I don't know how many episodes this season will get, but there are 3 other seasons that are already fully out. So if you do want to check out this show, it is on HBO Max. Again, the first 3 seasons are already out. This show is kind of a sleeper hit as well. Not too many people talk about it, at least from what I've seen. So if you're interested in a comedy show, or you just want like a funny show to watch, definitely go check out Hacks on Max. And then moving on to the other show that I'm watching, another Max show. This show is an anime. It's called Lazarus. This show is from the same person who directed Cowboy Bebop. I just want to start off by saying, like, this is a modern day Cowboy Bebop. Like, it's not a remake, it's not a sequel, but it's essentially like a spiritual successor, if you will. Like, this show and Cowboy Bebop, the parallels are just, they're huge, and they're there, and they're very well done. Like, again, this is a modern day Cowboy Bebop, but essentially the premise of this show is, in the future, a scientist develops a drug that can cure all pain. It's called Hopna. And of course, this drug gets mass marketed. It's apparently super cheap to afford. So essentially the whole world is taking this drug. And then after a while, the scientist disappears. And then he comes back 3 years later to reveal to the world that the drug has a half-life, and that once that half-life is reached, the user will end up dying as a result of that. And so the show follows a group of people, they're called Lazarus, and they're tasked with finding the scientists of this drug in order to develop a cure so that essentially the world doesn't go extinct, or basically so that the human race doesn't go extinct, because at this point almost everybody is taking or has taken this drug. And so it's a really interesting premise, and again, the parallels between this and Cowboy Bebop are just insane. I was unaware that this show was from the director of Cowboy Bebop. I thought it was by someone else entirely, but this is a newer anime. I don't know how many episodes we're going to get this season, but if you liked Cowboy Bebop, if you like things like Ghost in the Shell or Akira, I would definitely recommend checking out this anime. Again, it's on Max, and it's an Adult Swim anime, so I think it might also be airing on cable for those of you who don't have Max. But again, if you like Cowboy Bebop, you'll definitely love this anime. It is really good. The characters are really interesting here. If you're looking for a new anime to watch, I would definitely recommend checking out Lazarus. Again, it's over on Max or Adult Swim. And then wrapping things up, there are 2 upcoming things that I want to go see / need to go see. The first thing that I need to go see is Sinners. And then additionally, what I want to go see is Thunderbolts. That movie drops this Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I definitely want to go see this. I'm a little bit skeptical, I'm gonna be honest with you, about this whole movie and its premise and how things are going to go in this movie, but I still want to go see it. I definitely think the MCU is going in a interesting direction, and it does feel more like, I would say, like the olden golden days of the MCU. It feels very much like a phase 1 or phase 2 movie. I forget what phase we're in of the MCU now, but it definitely feels like a more rooted street level MCU film and not something over the top like we've been getting recently. So I definitely think that this is a step in the right direction. And then that is going to do it for this week's episode of Wednesday Watchlist. I apologize that there was no episode last week. I have just been going through a lot of stuff, but I am back, and hopefully, if things go well, I'll get to go see Sinners and Thunderbolts this weekend. Fingers crossed. But other than that, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Wednesday Watchlist. As always, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Have you watched any of the movies or shows I talked about in today's video? Do you plan on going to see Sinners? Have you gone to see Sinners? And do you plan on going to see Thunderbolts? And what are your initial thoughts on that film? And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!